welcome to this week's edition of the Collection Comic of the Week. The book I have chosen for this week is The Batman Chronicles, number 8. And this was always a favorite book to pick up of mine back whenever I was reading comics as a youngster and buying them off of the newsstand shelves and at Walmart and grocery stores and what have you. Basically because, as I've said on a previous adventure, when I'd buy books as a kid at the, retail stores and the grocery stores, I would always have to look to the end and spoil the ending because I never knew when I'd be back, or even when I did come back, if possibly they wouldn't have part 2 and wouldn't be able to find out exactly what happened. So I'd always have to spoil it. And the last story of this book, it had a conclusion. But the thing that really got my attention, one of the reasons I kept going back to it was it's not a one-story book, but rather it's 3 short stories within it. And, it's kind of cool to get to read that. And you'd get at least one with a definitive conclusion. And all the ones I bought, every small story had a definitive conclusion. And I didn't know that when I bought the book. I just saw conclusion, and Batman is fighting a T-Rex, so I thought that was really cool. So I really wanted to pick this up. Like I said, there are 3 short stories in this book. The first is The Prison by John Stancy. I think that's how you say his name. I apologize if it's not. The artist on the first story is Sal Buscema. Big fan of Buscema artwork. The next story was written by Shally Fish and penciled by Douglas Wheatley. That's called Double Jeopardy. It deals with Two-Face. And the reason I bought this book, the last story, Secrets of the Batcave, Dinosaur Island, was written and drawn by Graham Nolan. So, yeah, this was a fun book that I pulled out, and let's give it a look. So like I said, just really, really cool cover with Batman and the teeth of a T-Rex right there. That's just really cool. And they're hyping up the new Titans book, new for 1997 at least. There's the front page chronicling all of that. That's a really good look at Batman right there. I really like that. So yeah, here's The Prison, and it's pretty much it's more of a Talia story. I mean, it is a Ra's story, but this whole thing is told from the perspective of Talia. And her, with her allegiances for her love of Bruce and her loyalty to her father, and just, it was a really, really hard story for me to get into as a kid because I didn't really understand it. It was really deep, like rereading this, and this was another one of those books that were republished in a trade paperback. I loved it, and this was something I always thought was cool, is this, This Adventures in the DC Universe. It was like a kid's book that apparently was out at the time. I never found it on my newsstand. But it was like in the same vein as Batman the Animated Series and Superman, but it was like with all the different characters in the DC Universe. So, yeah, never got to check it out. But if I see one of those at an upcoming convention, I'll definitely add it and perhaps review it. We will see. So, yeah, more from Talia. Just basically reliving everything that went into this. There's another real great picture, great artwork in this story. He's dying to save you, the Resurrection Man. So I never really checked out Resurrection Man. And this is when they were also hyping up the Electrified Superman. I do, buried somewhere within my long boxes, have the first appearance of the Electrified Superman. So maybe one day we'll be covering this debacle from the 90s. This is a dark time in Superman's history, at least in my opinion. Some more stuff here, and yep, Batman's been shot. He's dying. And Talia's been sent to finish the job. She just can't do it. And then she's left to go face the wrath of her father, and that's where story 1 ends. It's kind of like, a well-written short story from the eyes of Talia and Ra's. Loved it. The next one I enjoyed even. Again, I didn't really get into it much as a child. It was a little over my head. This second story, and I really, actually, as a child, I remember reading this and not liking it because Batman's not even featured in this second story at all. It is, see, Jim Gordon is going up to Two-Face in Arkham, and he's basically, they're trying to get Boss Maroni, who is the person responsible for scarring Two-Face, as you can see from the flashback here. And, yeah, he escaped. They're asking Two-Face to help, more so Harvey. And, you know, like I said, at the time I'm reading this and I'm not really getting into it because I'm like, where's Batman? Why? I don't want to see just Commissioner Gordon and Two-Face. I want to see Batman. But, you know, this was a very, very well-written cop story, you know, just with Gordon, you know, with Gordon being, you know, you see things like this where you see Gordon slipping from his oath, but he's really trying to see justice done for Harvey. And actually, I'll go back that other page. You know, he says right there because Two-Face asks how your daughter is, and this is what makes Jim snap. And he says, you know, get this straight. We are not friends. Harvey Dent was my friend. You're just a 2-bit felon, or a felon with a 2-bit gimmick. You know, kind of. I didn't. Reading this now, I think it's a good little short story, especially the ending where you see Two-Face wants to kill Maroni, but, you know, he gives himself up and the story ends and he just allows himself to go back to prison. And, you know, you have Gordon say, you know, yeah, there's still enough Harvey left in Two-Face to want to see justice be done. So again, there's two things that went over my head, but here's something that did not go over my head as a kid: dinosaurs and Batman. And the reason that I bought this book, you know, got this a graphic novel called The Big Book of Losers. So I never really, I remember it said suggested for mature readers, so I thought it was just something I couldn't read as a kid, and I've never even really sought this out. I was reminded of it when rereading this for the show. But yeah, may that'll be something good to review. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, you see, it's pretty much Batman finding a dinosaur. It's a good story. Like, reading it back, I still really enjoyed it, but this was something I could very much more so get into as a child. It's the reason that, you know, this is the story that the cover sold me on, and it's the one that I understood the most as a kid. And yeah, advertisement for Supergirl right there. Ooh, Peter David was writing this Supergirl. I might have to check this out. I'm a Peter David fan. I might have to go relook for that. And there's the classic Watch This Space. Always like these kind of things. Kind of give you like a bit of a synopsis of what was going on in the DCU at the time. I really wish they'd bring something like that back for comics, be DC or Marvel. Yeah, Batman finds the guy who's controlling the animatronic stuff. He keeps it and decides he wants to keep it in the Batcave. Yeah. So, yeah, and that's the end of it. Chronicling the Birds of Prey and Chuck Dixon, one of the first writers I ever got into. So, never bought any of these, but I am a Chuck Dixon fan, so maybe I'll hunt these down eventually. And yeah, that was Batman Chronicles issue 8. So, yeah, that was this issue. It was fun. You know, feel a couple of the earlier stories, the ones I didn't get into as a kid, are very underrated short stories. Nothing life-changing, nothing like in the vein of what, you know, Long Halloween or Year One or Killing Joke are, but just, you know, good stories from other people in Batman's life's perspective. Kind of fun and kind of an interesting concept. I think it'd be fun to bring a similar format to this back in comic books today, but I doubt anything like that will ever happen. But yeah, for something that I got because I want to see Batman fight a dinosaur and have a conclusion, I mean, I got my money's worth as a kid, and then being able to go back and reread this at my older age, I appreciate this even more. I'm so happy that this book had a conclusion, and that I picked it up and glad I decided to relive it. Do you also own this book? Let me know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share, subscribe for more content, not just from the world of comic books, but from the world of pro wrestling, gaming, anime, and all things geek culture. If you want to support the page, go check me out on Patreon at patreon.com/athleticgeek89. The link is in the description box below. If you want to support financially, that's how you do it, and that's how we can make all of this better. But if not, just give this a like, share, and go check out my other social media pages, facebook.com/athleticgeek89, Twitter at athletic_geek89, and instagram.com/athleticgeek89. Other than that, I'm out. Later.